In the heart of Seoul, where the city lights burn brighter than the stars above, a new idol had risen to claim the crown of Korean pop. His name was Jihoon, but the world knew him as Sorin. To his millions of adoring fans, Sorin was a god, a flawless being who seemed to have emerged from the darkest recesses of their dreams. But in truth, Sorin was something far more sinister, an entity that embodied the archetype of the devil, a force of temptation and ensnarement in a world built on illusions. It all began in a small, dimly lit practice room where Jihoon, a young man with an ordinary face but an extraordinary voice, spent countless hours perfecting his craft. His dream was to become a Korean pop idol, to stand on the grand stages of Seoul and have his voice heard by millions. But the industry was ruthless, and despite his efforts, Jihoon remained one of the countless trainees who struggled to break through. One night, exhausted and on the verge of giving up, Jihoon encountered a stranger in the studio. The man was tall, impeccably dressed, and exuded an aura that was both alluring and terrifying. His eyes seemed to pierce through Jihoon's soul, seeing every desire, every ambition, and every fear. "You want to be a star," the stranger said, his voice smooth like velvet. "I can make that happen." Jihoon hesitated, sensing that this was no ordinary offer. "What's the price?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The man smiled, a smile that sent shivers down Jihoon's spine. "The price is simple. You must let go of who you are, and I will give you everything you've ever dreamed of." In that moment, Jihoon made a choice. He took the stranger's hand, and from that day forward he ceased to exist. In his place, Sorin was born. Sorin's rise to stardom was meteoric. Within months, he was dominating the charts, his songs a hypnotic blend of seductive beats and haunting lyrics that spoke to the deepest desires of his listeners. His image was perfectly crafted, an enigmatic figure draped in dark, luxurious fashion, his eyes always hidden behind a veil of shadows. But it wasn't just his music that captivated the masses. There was something about Sorin that was almost supernatural. His presence on stage was intoxicating, his every move a symphony of temptation. Fans would flock to his concerts, their faces lit with the eerie glow of their phones as they recorded his every word, every gesture. They couldn't get enough of him. He was their addiction. Behind the scenes, however, things were different. Sorin's managers and fellow idols spoke in hushed tones about him, sharing stories of strange occurrences and unsettling behavior. They claimed that Sorin never aged, that he never seemed to sleep or eat. Some even whispered that he wasn't human at all. But in the world of Korean pop, where image was everything, no one dared to confront him. The industry had its demons, and Sorin was simply the most lucrative of them all. As Sorin's fame grew, so did the darkness around him. His fans became more obsessed, some even giving up their lives to follow him. Social media was flooded with fan art, fan fiction, and theories about who Sorin really was. Some said he was an angel fallen from grace. Others believed he was a god of old, reborn in the modern world. Yet, no matter how many theories circulated, no one could uncover the truth behind Sorin's rise. The truth was that Sorin was the embodiment of the devil card from the tarot, a symbol of bondage and temptation. He was the dark force that offered everything one could desire, but at the cost of one's soul. Jihoon had made that bargain willingly, believing that fame and fortune were worth any price. But as the years passed, he began to realize the true cost of his decision. He was trapped in the persona of Sorin, unable to escape the role he had taken on. His life was no longer his own. It was a performance, a never-ending cycle of seduction and manipulation. And though Sorin's fans worshipped him, none of them knew the emptiness that lay behind his mask. None of them could see the hollow shell that Jihoon had become. The turning point came one fateful night during a concert in the heart of Seoul. The stadium was packed with tens of thousands of screaming fans, their energy palpable as Sorin took the stage. The lights dimmed, and for a moment there was silence. Then the music began, and Sorin's voice echoed through the arena, sending shivers down the spines of all who heard it. But something was different that night. As Sorin performed, he felt a strange sensation, a flicker of something he hadn't felt in years: fear. It was as if the veil that separated Jihoon from Sorin was starting to thin, and for the first time in a long while, Jihoon felt the weight of his choices bearing down on him. The audience, however, was oblivious. To them, Sorin was perfect, untouchable. They chanted his name, their voices merging into a single, deafening roar. But as Sorin looked out into the sea of faces, he saw not adoration, but desperation. His fans were no longer just followers. They were slaves to the image he had created. And in that moment, Sorin realized the true nature of his power. He was not a god, but a devil, feeding off the desires and fears of those who worshipped him. He had become a prison for their souls, just as he was for his own. Unable to bear the weight of this revelation, Sorin faltered. His voice cracked, and for a brief second the mask slipped. The audience gasped, their perfect idol showing a glimpse of vulnerability. But it was too late. The darkness that Sorin had embraced for so long began to consume him, his body convulsing as the entity within him took control. The audience watched in horror as Sorin collapsed on stage, his final performance ending in a spectacle of shadows and smoke. Sorin's death sent shockwaves through the Korean pop world. Fans mourned the loss of their idol, flooding social media with tributes and theories about his sudden demise. Some claimed it was a curse, others believed it was the price of fame. But the truth was far more tragic. Jihoon, the man who had once dreamed of stardom, had paid the ultimate price for his desires. He had become a vessel for the devil, a symbol of everything that was dark and twisted in the world of fame. And in the end, he was consumed by the very force he had sought to control. But Sorin's legacy lived on. His music continued to haunt the airwaves, his image immortalized in the minds of his fans. He was a reminder of the dangers of temptation, a cautionary tale in a world obsessed with perfection and success. And so, in the neon-lit streets of Seoul, where dreams are made and broken, the story of Sorin, the Korean pop superstar who danced with the devil, became legend, a dark reflection of the desires that drive us all.